It was a scary scene in Southern California this morning where a 6.4 magnitude earthquake rocked the region. Witnesses reported shaking up to a minute. It was felt from Los Angeles all the way to Las Vegas, and several fires erupted in the aftermath. So far, just minor injuries are being reported from the earthquake, and Simone Del Rosario is here with the latest. Simone, it sounds like the region is not quite out of the woods yet.
Yeah, that's right. It's the strongest Southern California quake in 2 decades. And with dozens of aftershocks already reported, the USGS is telling residents to hold on tight.
There is about a 1 in 20 chance that this location will be having an even bigger earthquake within the next few days, that we have not yet seen the biggest earthquake of the sequence.
Well, the epicenter in Ridgecrest, smack in between Las Vegas and Los Angeles. You can see this large crack going clear across the highway. Just one of the damage reports. At least one home went up in flames from the earthquake. Kern County Fire Department responding to nearly 24 incidents in the aftermath. The injuries were mostly minor, mostly from broken glass and falling shelves. Our own news anchor, Brian Flores, felt the earthquake on vacation with his family in the LA area.
And I felt this shaking going on for like 20 or 30 seconds. And I looked around, I'm like, what's going on? And then I turned to my kids, I said, kids, stop shaking the car. And they're like, I'm not doing anything.
Well, he said it was then that he realized it wasn't just his car shaking, but the entire city. He says the length of the shaking, 20, 30 seconds, is really what was crazy in that moment.
Simone, of course, when we see something like this in California, we're reminded about where we live, the risk of the big one, or just even an earthquake happening here. What should people be keeping in mind?
So I think that we should be looking at this California earthquake as a wake-up call to always be prepared for what's next. Everyone should have a family emergency plan. They should be able to communicate with each other and know where to meet if you would all get separated during an earthquake. Also have an earthquake kit that has food and water, a flashlight, fire extinguisher. Use today's earthquake to trigger that conversation for you and your loved ones. As for the preparedness outside of our control,
I would say we are somewhat prepared in the Puget Sound region, but certainly have a long way to go. And when I say we, the city of Seattle has great emergency response plans in many ways, but also recognizes, for example, that many buildings are not really adequately prepared for large shaking or a large earthquake. A lot of our infrastructure still has a lot of vulnerabilities to it.
So we know a lot of our bridges and roads need work, but just in the past week, the Department of Natural Resources released an audit on more than 200 public schools and said 40% of them are not structurally prepared. And they'll need to ask the state legislature for money to fix that, hopefully before that big quake hits. People who are wondering about those schools, they can go to our website, q13fox.com.